Scott, how are you?
I'm good.
Good, thank
Nice to see you, Tim.
you. Nice to see you. Well, nice to see you again. How's how's sunny California?
It's good. The weather's good. It was raining for a while, and we needed it, but it's good
Yeah.
now.
Whereabouts in California are you?
I'm close to Temecula, which is like sort of in between LA and San Diego.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. And the other thing I'm going to ask is, how's your back?
It's better. I've been in
Good.
PT for about 2 months,
Okay.
and it's definitely getting better. It's a slow process, but definitely way better than it was.
That's a
Found a
bum.
really good PT person who's great.
It's a bummer you had to cancel your tour.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it gives me time to write.
Yeah.
And just practice a little bit. I needed kind of a break from the road. I've been doing tours since 1982.
Jesus.
Every year touring. It's
Yeah.
it's nice to have a breek. Yeah, and plus we just got a puppy. Me and my wife just got a new puppy,
I can
and
hear him or her.
yeah, yeah, he's a handful. So
Yeah.
spend a lot of time with him. So I'm having fun.
That's good. How was your Christmas and New Year's and all of the festive
Great,
season?
great. Really good. Get to spend some time with my daughter. She's at USC.
Okay.
And her last year at USC, she graduates in May.
Okay. What's she studying?
Mm-hmm. She's studying film and acting. She's an actress.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. That's very
Yeah.
cool. Okay, and what are the prospects or the hopes for 26 looking like?
Well, I mean, I hope I can manage to write enough music for a record. That's a big if. Writing gets a little bit harder every time I do it.
Yeah. Do you have a process for it? Is it just
I
you just
don't
wait for
really.
inspiration?
I just play. I mean, I wish I had instant access to the harmony that I have in my head. Sometimes I get lucky, sit down with my guitar, and something I play is good enough for a tune just right off the cuff, in real time.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't happen that way, and you have to use process of elimination and go through things I don't like before I find things that I do like. So
yeah, I heard.
it's just yeah.
I heard I can't remember who the songwriter was. It might have been Victor Wooten. Do you know him?
Yeah, sure. I did
Yeah.
a couple records with him. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think he was talking about like sometimes it was. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to the tune of music doesn't belong to us, and if we're sitting down and being creative, we have to be open that we're able to catch music as it kind of passes through us, and if we're in the right space and the right headspace or the right emotion, we're lucky enough to grab it, and we can hopefully get it down into either onto paper or we can get it onto a record.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that for sure. There's also just the part of daily practice of listening to yourself and listening to harmony and being able to predict what something sounds like before you can play it.
Yeah.
So if you have a harmonic language or a harmonic palette, like an artist palette, you have all different types of chords, many different chord types, and each one of those chord types can have lots of different melody notes. And if you know what that melody note sounds like on top of that particular chord and you hear it, easier to write, So just daily going through that process can help. That's kind of technical, but it can help.
Yeah. So let's walk us through practicing. What does practicing look like for you these days?
Usually it depends on what I've got going. If it's for a tour, then obviously I'm going to practice the music that I have to play for the tour. And I'm going to probably improvise over the changes that, that the songs have in them for the road. If I don't have a particular goal in mind, like, if it's not like, say, practical practice for a gig, then I might just work on all kinds of stuff. Like there's creating motifs, creating melodies. There's improving my rhythmic vocabulary, improving my single line vocabulary, learning new voicings, maybe learning how to play a tune by myself, chord melody style.
Yeah.
There's just so many aspects. There's so many things to practice on. There's not enough hours in a day to practice it all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you think of that as practice, or do you think of it as playing?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I sit down and play for 2 hours, that's just going to make me better at what I do,
Yeah.
even if I don't call it practice. But sometimes practice involves actual problem solving.
Mm.
You know, if you're playing a particular tune and you're having a problem here or there, there's a lot of times, I think one of my main problems, and probably a lot of guitar players would say this, is because the way the instrument is laid out, not as easy as a piano. you know we've got 5 different pianos on our
Yeah.
neck, so so it's a little bit more difficult, and sometimes we have those blind spots where you have an idea and you're moving that idea up, and then you have a blind spot and can't find the note you need to make that idea continue.
Yeah.
Then that's frustrating, and then you have to stop the backing track and say, okay, where was that note that I really wanted to find? And then, oh, look, there was the flat 7, or there was the third
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there and I didn't see it. Next time maybe I won't make that mistake. So that's kind of that kind of problem solving type of
Mm.
practice.
Yeah. And do you work on things like technique?
That's probably the least thing I care about.
Yeah.
I have enough technique to play what I'm hearing in my head usually. If I'm warmed up, then I'm good. But I've never really been one of those guys that cared about having monster chops.
Mm.
So I don't practice my picking technique or anything like that. I really don't care about it much. I'm more
Okay.
caring about phrasing and tone.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that are the most important to me. Chops would be way down there on the list.
Okay. All right. And so how did you get into music? What was your pathway in?
Led Zeppelin,
All right.
like hearing Led Zeppelin when I was a little kid and
Yeah.
going, "Oh man, that's what I want to do for a living." Yeah,
Okay.
and I listened to all that stuff. I listened to the guys imitating the blues guys first, like Led Zeppelin and Hendrix and Richie Blackmore and Jeff Beck. And then I realized that the roots of the blues came way before that. Black
Mm.
musicians like, Albert King, B.B. King, Albert Collins, John Lee Hooker. I started listening heavily to those cats.
Yeah.
And luckily I was, in the middle of like my rock years, or I was just playing rock and blues, I got a gig with this all black group playing Motown tunes, R&B, funk.
Yeah.
And it was a big horn band, like 10 guys in the band with the horn section. And thank goodness I got that gig, because that opened my ears up to a whole other style of music. James Brown, Kool and the Gang, Tower of Power, Aretha Franklin, just all that great stuff. And I realized that I could love that music just as much as rock and roll and blues.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
through that music, I started listening to, I guess, maybe fusion, because I started hearing some of those Tower Power tunes that had some nice chord changes. Started listening to bands like Weather Report, and um, you know, and through that, it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's another thing, kind of like rock and blues. I realized that those fusion guys, like the guys in Weather Report, they started out playing straight ahead jazz, and I started listening to Coltrane, Charlie Parker, that
Mm.
kind of stuff, and got pretty heavy into it. Like my through my 30s, was just playing tons of standards and not really wanting to go buy a hollow body jazz guitar and be a
Right. Yeah.
be a standard player. Never really
Yeah.
wanted to do that, but definitely was interested in playing over chord changes, and
Mm.
that helped. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have
Yeah.
a lot of different influences, and I can't really say I have a favorite kind of music. I love it all.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I think that's really, really important for people, just to kind of broaden those horizons, because
Sure.
you could just get like stuck in this rut if you're, a rock or metal guy or a blues guy. If you get stuck in that rut, because I think there's so many different, like you touched on it earlier. You said there's so many different types of things that are going on musically, that if we try and get a little bit of everything, it makes us the player that we want to be, or that we could potentially be.
Yeah, and it's just more fun,
Mm.
to appreciate all these different kinds of music, because there's beauty in just every style, to
Yeah.
appreciate.
Yeah. I think that's like I say this to all of my students as well. It's like, what are you listening to? And whatever it is, there's 10, 20 bands that came before that I will literally write it in their book. Right, go listen to this, go listen to that, come back and tell me what you think. And it's yeah, I mean, it's like I said, broadening one's horizons musically is, I think, it's one of the joys of being a musician.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Cool. And let's talk a little bit about your teaching in some of the big schools in the States.
Well, I've really only. Go ahead.
I was going to say, how did you get into that? What schools did you teach at? And
well, really, I've only taught at one, which is Musicians Institute. I was a student there in 1980,
okay. Right.
And I went there to study there because I was tired of Florida. Florida wasn't really doing anything for me as far as gigs. I wanted to go to LA and study with guys like, let's see, who was teaching there at the time. Joe Pass was there, Joe DiOrio, Pat Martino. A lot of, really big time jazz musicians. It was more of a jazz school at that time. So I went there from 80 to 81. And as soon as I graduated, they asked me to teach there. And I've been teaching there ever since. Not like a full-time teacher. I was only teaching 2 days a week when I started. Now that's gone down to just 1 day every 2 weeks, but I'm still there, and I'm doing what they call open counseling, not really teaching classroom, not like 30 guys in class. Open counseling is a really cool thing about the school because you can come in and out as you please. It's not like, okay, it's not set by watch. You just walk in when you feel like it, leave when you feel like it. Sometimes there's 2 people in there, sometimes there's 10. But I basically take turns playing with them students and giving them advice and stuff. And it's sort of like a private lesson, only there's other people around. And they sort of take turns. And the cool thing about it is that if you're in a class and you don't really understand what's going on and you're a little bit confused, you can go to a private open counseling and ask the teacher.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, if you're bored in your class and already know all that stuff, you can just test out of it and come to open counseling and hang out with somebody like me instead and ask questions that are a little bit more advanced or, whatever you want. So that's why they call it open counseling, because it's not tied down to any one curriculum.
Sure. And how do you think it's changed over the years since you were there?
Well, every music school has changed because the economy has changed. And if they only let the really great players in, they'd go broke.
Yeah.
So, the level has dropped. And in fact, at a lot of schools, even Berkeley, there's not even much of a test to get in.
I've heard this.
Yeah. And I mean, that doesn't really affect me that much because somebody that's only been playing for a couple of weeks is not likely to come into my room. I usually get the more advanced guys, but it just is what it is, man. If it's almost like you come out of high school, you don't really know what you want to do for a career yet. You could be a bartender, you could be a dental technician, you could be this or that. And it's like, hey, mom and dad, I think I want to try music. So you can go to a music school and they hand you an instrument and tell you the names of the strings and start showing you really basic stuff. And it's possible that if you worked really hard, by the end of the year, you could actually be able to play some stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think there's anything that's missing from education at the moment? Music education?
Well, I mean, it depends. If you're talking jazz, yeah, for sure. Because, these schools, they don't even really teach a lot of the more advanced jazz concepts because they realize that maybe only 3 to 5% of the student body is really into playing over chord changes. Most of these kids just want to be rock stars or pop songwriters or whatever, So in that case, yeah, sure, it's missing a lot. You'd probably be better off if you're into jazz to just get private lessons. But if you're, a rock and pop guy, then lots of classes to help you with that for sure. And a lot of good teachers, experienced teachers to help you with it in the schools like Berkeley or MI.
Yeah. Do you think going to one of these schools now is worth it? Because the fees are quite astronomical.
They're high. And like I said, it really depends on what your goals are. Because one of the things about being involved in a school like MI is you meet a lot of people. You
Yeah.
know, you have contact with the students, you have a whole sort of like database of people that you meet that could help you get gigs,
Mm.
right? And it's a good place to network because you're in LA. So in that way, yeah, it's probably better than sticking in a small hometown where you're not likely to meet people that can help you in your career. So
Yeah.
in that way, yeah, it's worth it. And I
Yeah.
think that you do get a quality education, but like any place else, if you don't work hard, because it's a lot of work.
Mm.
A lot of students might come to a school and realize, oh shit, this is way more work than I thought it was going to be, and they drop
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to do the work, then I'd say it's worth the money.
Okay. All right. And what, like you mentioned, like networking. I mean, I think networking's super important even today.
Of course, yeah.
Um, so what's the gigging scene like in LA these days?
Well, in LA, it's not really a place where you gig to make money.
Okay.
On the outskirts of LA, like in the suburbs of LA, like Orange County,
Hmm.
right? Then there's a lot of top 40 stuff and casual work and stuff like that, where you could get in a top 40 band and play at one club for 1 week, play at another club for another week,
Yeah.
and actually make a living doing it. But in LA, like actual LA and Hollywood, most of the bands are original bands that play for free just to get record people down to the gig to hear them, hoping to get signed to a label and hoping to establish an audience for their own original music. And most of those people work day jobs to make a
Right.
living. You
Okay.
know, they're working in a shoe store in the day and
Yeah.
then, you know, the Foot Locker during the day. And then at night, they're playing their music and rehearsing. And those guys, a lot of those guys don't want to play pop gigs or top 40 gigs, right?
Yeah.
Now, that was never me. I was the guy that was like, if I've got my instrument in my hand and making money, that's good. That's a good
Yeah.
thing. I'll do my original music on the side. But
Yeah.
I've always been coming up, learning guitar, always trying to gig 5 nights a week ever since I was like 18 years old.
Yeah. So
So I think that's really important.
yeah, yeah. So what what kind of gigs would you mean? Would you take anything? Is there anything you wouldn't do?
You know, man, there's nothing I wouldn't do.
Do you know, I had a housemate when I left. I think it was the first house I moved out of when I moved out of my parents' house. I'd graduated music school, and I was living with a housemate or flatmate, and he had a regular day job. So I was like I was at home in the apartment by myself, and he'd come back and he would always say like where are you gigging this week? I said, oh, this week I'm doing a wedding on Friday, then I've got a festival thing on Saturday, then I'm doing a solo gig in a bar on Sunday, and then I've got some pop thing and he's like, is there anything you wouldn't do? And I was like, no, I don't think there is. Like, unless like you're getting hired by like some ultra right wing fascist group or
Yeah,
a
yeah.
terrorist like,
I don't
I
think
think
I would ever play at the Kennedy Center while Trump's name
yeah.
is on it.
But
But
yeah, I mean,
no,
but
I
then
mean,
I said to him, like, if you're at work and you're doing your day job and your boss comes up to you and says, I need you to do the X, Y, and Z, were you going to take any kind of moral high ground and say, oh, no, I'm not doing that. That's beneath me. Or I'm not doing that. That's you just like kind of just do
I
what
think
it's because it's your job.
I believe that when you're learning music, it's really important to play as much as you can.
Mm,
And I don't think there was ever any tune that I played, whether it was like a totally top 40 tune or a more fun tune like a Steely Dan tune or something like that, that I
yeah.
didn't learn something from
Yeah.
learning the guitar parts on that song. So I'd have to say, yeah, I did go to school, but I would have to still call myself a self-taught musician. I learned to play from listening to records more than anything I learned out of school. And
Yeah.
we tell our students the same thing. School is only half of it. You know, you got to be home transcribing from your CDs,
Yeah.
you know, and that's where you really learn stuff. So going through the whole top 40 thing, I played everything from rock, blues, funk,
Mm,
R&B, ballads, all
yeah.
kinds of stuff that helped me to become a better guitar player. So I look at it as I made a living, I paid the rent, and I had my guitar in my hands. Can't beat that.
No, it's it's like the old adage: if you find something you love and you can make a living from it, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, yeah, I
Well,
definitely would
yeah,
rather do that than do a day job for sure.
yeah,
And like I said, most of the bands that I was fortunate because most of the working bands were actually people that I enjoyed playing with and that also enjoyed playing an original tune if I brought one in.
yeah,
Or, so it's not like I'm in a band that has absolutely no creative, goals. We just want to play this top 40 music and make people dance and get our money and go home. We
yeah,
always had something on the side. Let's play this original tune and let's work on this original tune or something. There was always a higher level of creativity involved in just playing the stuff to make people dance.
yeah,
And there's another aspect of it too. On some of those top 40 gigs that I did, we'd play a tune like Cocaine,
yeah.
Eric Clapton, Cocaine, and I would solo for a half an hour, right? Because those I would solo more back then than I do on my own albums because
Okay.
people would be drunk out there on the dance floor, and as long as people are up there drunk and dancing and drinking, I'd play half an hour long solos and be practicing the stuff I learned at MI while I'm up there on stage. So
Wow, man.
I looked at it as like a practice session. Of
Well,
course, you
yeah. I
can
mean,
only do that if people aren't really paying attention.
yeah, yeah. I do that all the time. Like if I'm on a function gig or if we're doing a bar gig, it's like right. I'm going to see if I can. Let's see if I can get that thing that I've been working on. Let's see if it
Yeah,
can come. It come. Does it? Will it come out in my playing? Like if I do it
yeah,
enough, eventually it's going to start to come out. So let's see if it comes
of
out.
course. Yeah,
Um,
and that's a good way to use a gig is to, for a way to practice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Usually it turns into a bit of a car crash, but sometimes you get it right. Like right, okay. If,
Yeah.
if it's a car crash, so right, I now need to know. I now know what I need to go work on. So I need to work on this.
We
That
learn
also
we
time.
learn more from
Yeah.
our mistakes than we do from anything
Yes.
else.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you learn music? I mean, you touched on that you were self taught and you went to school. Like, what was the balance between
Well, you
education
know,
and
when when I started out just listening to records and learning stuff from records,
yeah,
you know, rock and blues. But when I got in that horn band that I was talking about playing music that had chord changes, I got kind of curious because there was too much about the guitar and music in general that I didn't know.
yeah,
So I went to college for music. I went to Florida Atlantic University. And I
yeah,
didn't really go there for the purpose of graduating because I just didn't care about a diploma, but I took all the music classes. So
yeah.
I have like the equivalent, I guess, of a bachelor's degree in music, but I didn't take anything else. So,
Okay.
I can barely add 3 and 5. I think that's 8. but anyway, um, I learned harmony and I learned some classical theory, some jazz theory, and I started to understand where a lot of the concepts are, a lot of the things that I was doing on guitar. But this school that I went to, they weren't really a guitar driven school. It wasn't, there weren't like classes for guitarists. That's
Yeah,
why I went to MI because
yeah,
I thought, okay, if I can take this theory that I've learned in college and actually apply it to the neck of the guitar, and that's where MI really helped me. Back then it was called GIT. And that's
right.
where
Okay.
GIT really helped me because they helped me to put all that theory that I learned and find it on the neck. And
Yeah,
that really helped. That opened a lot of doors for me musically.
yeah,
So it was a good thing that I went there. I'm glad I went there.
yeah. I mean, I did 1 year of music college, and I kind of went for the same sort of reasons. It was a little bit of technique, a little bit of I wanted a deeper understanding of just what the hell was going on on the neck and how to
Yeah,
break out of those box shapes that we learn, those pentatonic or major scale box shapes that we learn,
right.
and I had some amazing teachers there. And I really enjoyed the time there. But the only thing, if I was to do it again, the thing I would focus on is networking. I did zero networking. I was like, I'm not there for
Mm-hmm.
networking. I'm not there to meet people. I just
Mm-hmm.
want to learn. And looking back, if I could do it again, that's what I would do. I'd really focus in
Mm-hmm.
on just trying to meet people, play with more people, jam with more people.
Sure.
So yeah.
I remember when I first came to LA, I didn't really know anybody famous, but oh, sorry, you were talking. I didn't mean to
No, it's
interrupt you.
fine. That's fine. You go.
Oh,
You go.
so I didn't know anyone. But the way I kind of got helped is because Jeff Berlin, the bass player, was one of the teachers at school at MI, and we used to jam all the time. Playing standards or whatever. Actually, we used to play a lot with Joe Pass. So it would be me and Joe Pass and Jeff, and we would play standards together. And Jeff asked me. His guitar player left the band that he was in with Vinny Colaiuta on drums and Biff Hannon on keyboards, and he asked me to play, and I ended up playing on Jeff Berlin's first album, which is called Champion.
Okay.
And because of that album, Jean-Luc Ponty had heard me playing on that album, and Alan Holsworth heard me play on that album. And Alan recommended me for the Jean-Luc Ponty gig because he had left. And he said, Jean-Luc, listen to this guy. And Jean-Luc hired me. I played with him for about 3 or 4 years. And then Chick Corea heard me through that. And, just sort of like I just sort of got breaks from people that heard these albums and wanted to use me for various gigs. So playing on Jeff's album really helped me a lot. And that's how it sometimes is for young players. You don't necessarily make a name for yourself all at once. Sometimes you end up being a sideman for someone else who already has a following. Jeff had a pretty big following from playing with Bill Bruford and Alan Holdsworth.
Yeah.
And so playing with Jeff got me heard by more people in that style. So that's often the case. So a musician who's not known gets a gig with somebody who is known, and therefore that helps get their name out there. So and it's all good. It all helps.
Yeah. I'm going to ask, what was it like playing? And I don't know, do you have lessons with Joe Pass? What was it like being around him?
Yeah. He was my teacher. He was kind of a mean teacher, like.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it was great though. He was kind of a grumpy guy. We would be playing, and I would play a wrong note or something, and he would just go, "What the fuck did you play that for?" But he was great. I love Joe, and he played some great stuff. Amazing musician.
I mean, I mentioned this when we met up last week that Joe Pass was one of the people that sort of opened up the doors to jazz for me. And because I find like the albums that I've listened to, I just find them very accessible for someone that isn't like a diehard jazz fan. And so far, I mean, I've not heard anything bad from him. Like he's not playing a wrong note. He's not playing any bad tunes. Like his command of the instrument's just phenomenal.
Yeah, he's great. And, he knew tons of standards and a lot of really beautiful reharmonizations of those tunes. And man, he was a brilliant musician. Really, really great.
Yeah. I heard stories. I don't know if you could verify this, but his dad was a bit of a hard ass on him.
I think so. I mean, actually, wasn't Joe Pass? He spent some time in prison, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about that, but I did. Joe actually asked me to teach his son because his son wanted to learn guitar, but he wanted to learn more like distortion type fusion guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm sure his dad had showed him many things, but Joe asked me if I would teach his son. So I used to go over to their house once a week to teach his son.
Wow.
Joe said something funny about me one time. That he was interviewed in Los Angeles Times, and the interviewer said, "Are there any like up and coming players that you like?" And Joe said, "Well, there's one guy named Scott Henderson that's pretty good. He plays that kind of music where you don't know what the melody is." And I thought, yeah, thanks, Joe.
Thanks,
it's
man.
Really nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, man, for that incredible. Oh, it's good. It's all good.
That's nice.
I'm sure Joe didn't really listen to fusion all that much.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was kind of it's that no, if when you're getting to a certain age, you look at the music that's now up and coming, and it's scary and weird and doesn't make sense to
Yeah,
you, and you're like, it's not the
sure.
same as the like when I listen to the music that my kids listen to. I'm like, it's this just sounds like Pearl Jam. This just sounds like Nirvana. It's like, no, no, no. I was like, yeah, well, I'm at that
Yeah,
age now.
that's funny.
That's the way it is, man. That's the way it is. And what's your view on getting better, and how's it changed over the years?
It has. I mean, it depends. Like when I was growing up in guitar, there was always that. I guess I don't know if I'd call it kind of a show off mentality where you always had to play faster and faster and faster. Then Eddie Van Halen came along and played
Mm,
faster than anybody knew how to. And
yeah.
after that, most of us just threw up our arms and went, we're never going to be able to play that fast. So why even try anymore?
Okay.
Like it's just, and now there's like all these guys that just have insane chops,
Mm,
and I reached a point where getting better did not mean getting faster. It just meant getting more musical,
yeah.
getting playing better phrases, playing more meaningful solos, um, getting better tone. And that became the most important thing to me. It's still getting better. It's just that you choose what you want to get better at. Um,
Yeah.
I would like to get better at knowing the lower strings on my instrument for chords, because a lot of the chords I play are in the middle of the neck or on the top strings. But
Mm,
there's some really great players, like Kurt Rosenwinkel is one who has so many beautiful voicings on the low strings,
okay.
right? And he's great at that. And I would like to get better at that myself. So that's one of the things I'd like to get better at. Um, but we all have those little things. Nobody does everything. There's always going to be somebody that does this thing or that thing better than you do, but
Yeah.
nobody knows the whole vocabulary of music. You just pick and choose what's important to you. And I've been able to luckily find the things that are important to me and work on those things. And that's why I'm who I am, I guess. It's what makes
Mm,
you, you,
yeah.
is because of the things you choose to become better at.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you touched on that, like young kids with like insane chops. Like I think there's like everybody has such easy access to so many great teachers and
Yeah.
lessons
Mm-hmm.
on things like YouTube and Instagram. So I think that distance going from beginner to like incredible technique is just getting shorter and shorter and shorter. But I think there's this other aspect of learning that is just being completely bypassed. Like you mentioned, like
Well,
learning tunes off records, which I think is now being
yeah,
bypassed completely.
kind of. I'm also noticing, like, and I don't want to put anybody down,
Yeah, of
because
course.
what I'm hearing sometimes on YouTube is virtuosity in the service of really cornball music.
Yeah,
It's like, so what if you can play all this you know virtuoso stuff? If I don't like the music you're playing, then it's not going to do much for me. Where are all the composers? Where are
yeah,
the new tunes?
yeah,
Where are the young composers that are composing stuff that, like, say, in the jazz vein or in the fusion vein? I'm not hearing a lot of that. I'm hearing guys that are concentrated on, like, say, it's all about my guitar playing,
yeah.
right? But see, for me and lots of other guys that I can think of, guitar playing's only part of what we do. We're
Mm,
also producers, we're arrangers, we're composers, we're also engineers in the studio.
yeah,
We're really into tones and sounds, and we're always messing with gear and finding new ways to layer. And you've heard my records. My records are highly layered with
yeah.
lots of different sounds and orchestrations, and I'm really into that. And so is Michael Landau,
Hmm.
and so is Oz Noy, and so is Jimmy Page,
Yeah,
right? So, in fact, it might at Les Paul. It all maybe started with Les Paul, the layering idea, and then Jimmy Page kind of took it from there.
yeah.
So, when I hear guys, and it seems like it's just all about this, the
Mm,
neck and the guitar. I want to be more than that. I want to
Yeah.
be more of a complete musician than just labeled a guitarist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I consider myself like a music maker and all of the things that come with it. So,
Mm.
and maybe that means I'm not going to be as good of a guitar player as I could be if I didn't do all that other stuff. And that's cool too. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's, it's just what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on AI now that's hit the scene?
Honestly, I don't know that much about it.
Okay.
I've never honestly used it except for ChatGPT to ask ChatGPT like one thing I love about it is my record company, they send me these statements of sales, but
Mm.
they're not doled out by album,
Right.
right? And that drives me crazy because I'm like, how can I figure out what this album made and what this album made and what this album made? You throw
Sure.
that spreadsheet into Chat GPT and ask it separate the total
Yeah. Yeah.
into the three albums, and in about 2 minutes it does it.
Yeah.
Whereas normally I would have to hire an accountant to do that, and Chat GPT can do it like that. So
Yeah.
that I find useful, but I've never used it for music.
Yeah. I know. I just did my taxes. We have to do it every January over here, and
Yeah, well, there you
I
go.
I thought to myself, like, I still use an accountant, but I had to send her all the stuff, all of my form, all of the money, all the ins, all the outs, and I just thought, I reckon in a year I can just give it all to Chat GPT, and it'll do the whole return for me.
Yeah, and you probably could.
Yeah,
You know,
I could probably do it now, but yeah,
yeah, but
I don't know.
I've never used it in a musical situation. I don't even know what I would do because I don't know. I just don't see how it would help me in what I do, right? Because
Yeah,
I'm all about playing with a real bass player and a drummer,
yeah,
and writing. I just don't see how it would help me.
yeah. Oh, I was
But
speaking to
I
somebody
have to
last.
say that. Oh, sorry. I was just
I was,
going to say that
you go.
I have heard some music that I don't like very much. That sounds like a computer wrote it.
Yeah,
It just doesn't have. It's missing something. I don't know what it is, but it's missing something. It just sounds very sterile. And maybe that's music that was created by AI or just bad musicians. I have no idea. But when I hear it, I go, that's doesn't sound too human.
yeah. You know what? I heard somebody liken it to. It's like when you have a conversation with somebody that is on drugs. They're not quite there. Like the eyes are open, the mouth is moving, but the brain has switched off.
That could be. Good
There's
analogy.
something slightly alien about it
Right.
that's
Right.
unsettling and like, right, I think we need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree. Like, where are all the composers? Like, I was listening to the Great American Songbook, one of the albums that I found on YouTube, and just listening, like, this song's going back to the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and like every decade has got this sound, and it just, when you get to the 2000s, it's kind of, we lost, like the whole Nirvana thing disappeared. Oasis kicked around for a bit. The Killers came along. Arctic Monkeys, like for pop rock music, if you're talking like Zeppelin, the Beatles, like the continuation of those bands,
Mm-hmm.
we seem to have stopped around 2005, and now we don't have these big guitar bands anymore.
I wouldn't know because I don't really listen to that kind of music that much unless I hear it on the radio, but
Yeah.
because I guess, to be honest, I have to say that I don't listen to music, period, as much as I used to because
Hmm.
I'm too busy trying to come up with my own music.
Okay.
So when I'm practicing and I spend a whole day working on a tune, I'm more into film. More into watching a movie, or a TV series than I am in listening to what somebody else is doing,
Okay.
right? Because I'm busy doing what I'm doing and I
Hmm.
don't have time to listen to everybody else.
Okay.
So that's just how
I'll
it is
tell you,
right now.
you're not missing much. There isn't a great deal
Oh,
out
okay.
there. you know,
Yeah.
just before I came on to talk to you, I was watching Platoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I just forgot what a fucking not only what a great film that is,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
just how like, first of all, how different a war movie it is
Yeah.
Same with Full Metal Jacket. Like it was very
Oh, I
different,
love Full Metal Jacket. That's such a great
very
man.
different
Vincent
tonally.
D'Onofrio is one of my favorite actors of all time. I mean,
He steals it,
he's
that film.
incredible, man.
Yeah,
As the
but
Bug in Men in Black, man. I mean,
yeah,
the best. He's
yeah,
just the best actor ever. I love that guy.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
he's
But yeah,
great.
and I was talking to my wife. She was saying like I don't really like Vietnam films because there's just depressing. It's like, well, I think up to like the 70s, all war films were like heroic super soldiers. They're going off for a certain mission. They complete the mission. They rescue the other squad, or they get the thing. They do the assassination. They come back. The hero's welcome. It's everything's like round of applause. Like Full Metal Jacket, Platoon. It's just a continuation of constant
Yeah,
hell, and there's no
yeah.
resolution. There's no. It's just
No,
round and round
and
we
there's
go.
more nuance too. There's more
Yeah,
humanity and nuance in it. You
yeah,
know, for sure.
yeah. Just yeah. I'm a bit of a film buff as well. But anyway, like back onto music. Is there anything in your? I mean, I'll phrase this without upsetting you. Um, do you like your playing?
Well, I think we all have good days and bad days. There's
Mm,
certain solos that I've played that I do like, and there's certain solos that I wish I could have done better.
yeah.
Um, I don't. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of my own playing, but I accept. You have to accept who you are. You
Mm,
know, and I don't hate myself or anything, but yet I do listen to. Sometimes I listen to myself play, and I go, that was a bad decision," or "I wish I had followed through more with that idea," or "I wish I
okay.
could have phrased that better," or maybe a phrase was kind of clunky and not hip,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or maybe I got bad tone on a phrase or something like that. Those are the things I'm pretty critical of myself about.
Yeah.
If I
Do you think?
make a mistake, I'm less critical about making a mistake. It's like, so what? You made a mistake. I
Yeah.
don't care about that as much. I care about playing stuff that sounds like junior high schooly.
Yeah.
I always say to my friends that play guitar, it's like, yeah, I can play about 15 seconds of really good shit, and then I'm going to play something that totally sucks. And
Okay.
I'm going to play 15 more seconds of some really great shit, and then I'm going to play something that sucks. And that's
Okay.
kind of how sometimes we look at ourselves that way.
Yeah, and that's kind of reassuring to know.
Yeah. I don't know if that perfect solo exists, but we're always trying.
We're always trying to reach for it. I don't know. I think the Kid Charlemagne solo is pretty perfect.
Oh, that's a great solo. Yeah, there's a lot of that's short though,
Yeah.
so it's short enough.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
as pop solos go, I think that's
when you
probably up
play
there.
these big long solos that are stretched out, it's the trick is to keep them really interesting for
Mm,
for 2 or 3 minutes.
yeah.
And I'm pretty proud of the solo on Bill's Rat on the new Carnival on my new album Carnival. There's a
Okay.
song called Bill's Rat, and I really like the solo on that one. That's a good solo, and I really like the solo on Puerto Madero. That's like the fourth or fifth cut on the new album,
Okay.
and yeah, I mean, I'm proud of those solos. Other solos, maybe not so much, but those are two
Okay.
that I like. I can name at least there's two.
Yeah.
I played a good solo on Footprints on the album that I did with Jeff Berlin and Dennis Chambers. We did Wayne Shorter Footprints, and I
Yeah.
like that solo. It's not a distortion solo. I used a Variax,
Okay.
the Line 6 Variax, and I
Yeah.
had it set on like the kind of like the bebop hollow body sound.
Yeah.
And then we had to cue it a little bit, but I'll be damned, it sounds pretty good. It's like a pretty nice tone, and I like that solo.
Yeah.
Pretty proud of it. Um, but then there's other solos that I listen to and I go, oh man, what was I smoking when I played that?
What's your thoughts on like what are you using live these days? Using amps? Have you switched to digital?
No, I'm just using amps. And my thing is like the same thing I was doing when I was 18. Marshall head, 4x12 cabinet,
Yeah.
you know, guitar into a few pedals and into the amp. That's it.
Okay.
It's totally old school. Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix.
You've never made the switch to a digital rig?
No. Mm-mm. Though in the 80s, everybody was into rat gear
Yeah.
and playing in stereo,
Yeah.
right? And so for a while I was using like a preamp and a power amp in a rack.
Okay.
So still tubes, still an
Yeah.
amp, but not, like two small cabinets on the left and the right. And honestly, it can sound nice on stage, but if you're playing a big room, it's not that good because the people on the right side of the theater only hear your right side,
Yeah.
and the people on the left. In order to hear it like you hear it, you'd have to be sitting directly in the middle of the theater.
Yeah.
And so stereo is something I realized that it's not really that great live. It's nice to play in the studio. I stereoize my guitar sometimes, and the guitar is a mono instrument. But if you ever listen to, say, like a record like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Pride and Joy,
Yeah.
right? Or what's the name of that album? Texas Flood. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So what he did is his engineers, I'm not sure if Stevie had anything to do with it, but the engineers put his dry guitar on the left and then put his wet guitar about 20 milliseconds back on the right.
Okay.
And it's sort of like a stereo spread sound that gives you the impression that guitar sounds big coming at you. And that's a studio trick, and Alan Holsworth did the same thing on many of his solos. He would have dry guitar in the middle. He would put like a 30 millisecond delay on one side and like a 60 millisecond delay on the other side. And you'd get this wide stereo image from what is really, in actuality, a mono instrument.
Yeah.
But, it's sometimes I like to do it. Sometimes I don't. It really depends on the tune. A lot of times I like to do what Mike Landau does, is just put the guitar in mono on one side and put other stuff on the other side. And that also sounds great.
Yeah.
So because it sounds more like a band on stage. You've got the guitar here, you've got the keyboards here, you got the bass player over here, you got the drummer in the middle.
Yeah.
Sounds more alive, like a real band sounds.
Yeah.
So that's another way to do it.
Yeah. Have you ever tried any of the digital floor rigs, the Kempers or anything like that?
I have. Yeah, they don't really do much for me because they tend to sound sterile to me. The only thing that I've found that really works, and it's only because of one guy, most of the companies I don't like, but IRs. I discovered IRs.
Okay.
So an IR is, as you know, it's a digital recreation of a speaker, or a simulation of a speaker, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm recording, I go out of the amp into what's called a reactive load. John Suhr makes it. It fools the amp into thinking that there's a speaker cabinet there. Right?
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is it has every bit as much dynamics as a real speaker cabinet. You can pick incredibly soft so you can barely hear the string. And when you pick loud, it's loud. So it's got all the dynamics. Then out of the load box, it goes into the computer, into a plug-in. And that plug-in is like an IR player, like Mix IR, right? It can play an 8-second reverb. So a 500 millisecond IR is nothing, easy. So then you put in your IR and you're off. You're going, and you can't hear the difference between the IR and a real speaker cabinet. You cannot. Well, in my case, you can't hear the difference because I sent my Kerry Wright cabinet, incredible speaker cabinet builder. He's very well known in the guitar community. I sent one of my Kerry Wright cabinets to Justin York in Nashville, and he captured it.
Okay.
And so when I use that IR, it sounds exactly like the real cabinet.
Okay.
And on my new album, Carnival, 3 of the tunes are recorded with the speaker cabinet, and the other 7 tunes are recorded with IRs. And you can't hear the difference at all. I mean, you can't even hear the difference comparing them with no music. So when the band's in there, you can't. I mean, it's wonderful because it allows a guitar player living in an apartment to use his tube amp and crank it up all the way.
Yep.
And not have the neighbors call the cops.
Yeah.
So, it's more like a good thing to keep you out of jail, basically.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Keeps the wives happy and violin players.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't think my wife would appreciate a 4x12 blasting in the house. I don't think my dog would appreciate it either.
Yeah, it's they've certainly made doing sort of pit gigs and orchestra gigs a lot easier because now there's you've got full control over the volume. You don't even have to have anything in the pit. You just plug your headphones into your
and a
gear, or
lot
you
of
send
those
it to front of house.
a lot of those digital modeling amps are great for those kind of gigs. I
Yeah,
just can't get my personal tone with one
yeah,
that I've tried. But that doesn't mean they don't sound like real amps, because
mm,
a friend of mine, named Dan, he good guitar player, he did a whole album with the Kemper,
mm,
and but he used this guy. I forget his name, but he's pretty famous for making profiles for the Kemper, and he has these Fender Bassman profiles for the Kemper.
right.
And so that's what my friend used. He just basically used the Bassman profiles, and he did a whole album with the Kemper. And when I heard it, I was like, wow, this guy's getting great tone. And when they told me it was a Kemper, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds every bit as good. Now, if I played through it, I might not get what I'm looking for,
hmm,
right? But that doesn't mean I will say this, and I've said it many times: a great modeling amp beats a crappy amp any day of the week.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
of course,
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about them is the deep dive you have to do on them. You've got to go through the manual, you've got to go
you
through the
do.
presets,
Yes,
plug it into your
you do.
computer. And I remember
Yeah, you do.
I spent a week or so just trying to find this clean guitar amp that I was happy with, this chimey, Fendery kind of sound.
Mm-hmm.
I was struggling. I eventually I found one, and I was like, that'll have to do. And I plugged my Fender amp in, played a G chord, and went, that's the fucking sound I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that's great. I
yeah.
mean, sometimes, like especially on like say, what's it called, like the Axe effects.
Mm,
There's so many parameters, and you could literally, that's a steep learning curve. You could be with that thing for a week and not find
yeah.
all the knobs that you could, are all the parameters that you can tweak. But if it's worth it if you find the sound you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't find the sound you're looking for, it's it's
Yeah,
a week wasted.
then you sell it.
Yeah. Listen, it is now it's now 3:10 in the morning for me. I'm struggling to stay awake.
No problem, man. I
Well,
appreciate you
I
doing
will
this.
call it there. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry that we had a bit of a tech issue at the beginning.
No problem. And thank you for the interview, and for all the people listening. I have a new album. It's called Carnival, and you can get it on my website if you want the 96K version, which sounds really cool because it's recorded in 96K. But when you put it on a CD, they have to dither it down to 44.1.
Okay.
And when you listen to something that's in 96K and then you listen to the same thing on a CD, it shrinks up. It sounds more two-dimensional,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah, yeah.
So if you want the really good version of the new album, go to my website, scotthenderson.net, and you can buy it there on the online shop. But if you want to buy the CD, it's available on Amazon. In fact, I was lucky. It was the number one selling jazz album on Amazon for over a month, which was really cool.
Awesome.
And yeah, and then you can also get it on iTunes or other places.
Yeah.
So
Compressed even further.
yeah, compressed even further, right? That's for your car.
Yeah.
That's for driving in the car.
All right,
All
Scott.
right, Tim. Well, thank you, man.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it, and I will be in touch soon.
Okay.
We'll speak
Take
soon.
care.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.